Hello, thank you for tuning in to this week's versions of readings. This is on YouTube channel James 13 Wicca. In case you're seeing it anywhere else, this is where it should be. Also, I'm now offering live readings, in-person readings, if you're near Herkimer, New York. This weekend, October 26th, I will be in Dolishville for a benefit for Lisa Knapp, doing short readings. I believe that's from 1 to 5. I'll have more information on my Instagram on that. Of course, if you'd like a reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. This is James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Information below. If you're interested in the donation information, then information is also below. Thank you very much, and let's go into your reading. Hello, Taurus. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Taurus? You got a bit of earth here, but you also got some fire. So it's kind of like, is this going your way or is this not going your way? And you may be questioning that whole thing yourself during this, or it's going somewhere. This reminds me of like a very successful pairing that may be very uncomfortable. The analogy I keep getting is from my day. There was a very popular rock band, and the lead guitarist and the lead singer, while they didn't really get along, from what I understand, when they worked together to create music, they made some really good songs, or songs that I liked anyway. But then when they went their separate ways, I don't remember either of them having a lot of success, if any. So that I'm saying that because this might be somebody where you're pairing up with somebody and they're very good to help get the result, a really good result, but it may be one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm getting a really good result, but I really don't like dealing with this person. So it's kind of like, is this really worth it for me? Because I really, the longer I deal with them, the less I like dealing with them. This started off and it seemed like it was doable. It started off because whoever or whatever you were connecting to had a lot of good, I know it says information or something here, but I'm getting like, it's not just that. It feels like it's experience, or it could get me in on certain situations where I can learn what I need to learn. It feels more physical, like I'm physically doing things, or I'm a part of certain situations. It's kind of like being invited to some type of political fundraiser. And it's kind of like if you just show up, that's one thing. But if you kind of mingle and try to learn how people are getting along and you try to participate, that's a whole nother level. And I feel like this is one of those things where I was able to get in on something and learn how to do it to get what I needed to get out of it. So that's how this kind of started. It had a lot of value, and it's kind of like, well, if I'm going to be here, it's kind of like, again, going to these fundraisers. It's kind of like if I'm going to go, I might as well make it as worth it as I possibly can. I might as well get as much out of it as I possibly can. I don't want to just show up to say I showed up because, like, why did I bother? I'm going to show up and I'm going to try to, like, make it worth it for me. And it seems like that was the purpose. And it seems like that also inspired you to keep going and go a little deeper. So if I don't know why I'm using the fundraiser thing other than maybe it's that time of year, but it's kind of like, all right, I learned a lot from this. Maybe now I want to go up the ladder. Maybe I want to create my own fundraiser, or maybe I want to assist on one of these. Maybe that's it. I'm going to be a part of one of these, and I feel like I know enough now. I've seen a few, I've been a part of a few, see if I can like be a part of like creating what it needs to be like participating in it in a different level and going into the next level. And I feel like I've done that. Okay, so you're going into the next level. I think this is where it gets a little bit more heavy. And it doesn't have to be about a person. It could be about the situation itself, because I keep using politics. And I feel like politics is a very, like, double-edged sword for the very least. It's like, even when it's good, it's kind of like you still got to pay attention. You still got to keep your wits about you. You still got to keep looking around. Even when it's good, it's kind of like, yeah, but I still got to be careful. So going into the next level, are you expecting to go into the next level? I feel like you're choosing to go into the next level with that Six of Pentacles. I do feel like I'm choosing to do that. It's not like you're just getting thrown in. Like, oh, see the water? Poof, there you go. It's not like that. It's more like, okay, I want to get in the water because I know what I'm doing and I knew I need to get there, so I'm ready to get in the water. But once I'm in the water, that King of Wands shows up, and it's kind of like, I didn't expect to have to do all this stuff, but this isn't, again, I didn't show up to fail. And if I don't do it, it's going to be, why did I bother? But if I do it and I know I can, I think that's another piece of it. You know you can. This can be a success. And it's kind of like, I didn't show up to fail. That's not why I came. So all this has to be done. All right, I guess I got to do it. I was totally not expecting to go that way, but you got what it takes to make it happen. That's for sure. But it's kind of like, this isn't how I thought this was going to go. I went into the next level. I just didn't think this is what it was going to be. I feel like I keep looking at it like, this isn't normally how this goes. I don't understand why it's going this way this time, but it is. And I showed up to win. I showed up to be a success. So here I go. I'm going to do what I need to do. And you do. You take control in this situation. And it's kind of like, some of this, I'm just doing my best. It's just, I feel like some of this, with that Fool energy, Taurus is not usually a fan of that. Taurus likes to know what's going on, why it's going on, how to get it done, when it's going to finish, when it's going to start. That Fool energy, very uncomfortable. I get that it's very uncomfortable, but this is just kind of like, I don't know how to explain this. It's kind of like, it's a fundraiser, right? People are going to show up from this time. They're going to leave by that time. I can't sit here and mull it over. I just got to keep moving. I got to keep doing it. I got to make this a success. It's not going to be the way I want it to be, but it's still going to be a success. And that's ultimately what means the most to me, is for this to be a success. I don't have the luxury of slowing down and planning it out. I just got to keep moving. And I keep getting the, yep, you can do it. You got it. But it's like, it's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. But it works. But I also feel like I'm also looking at it like, the way this shook out, this was not normal. I don't know why this happened. Hopefully I can find out later why this happened this way. But for right now, that wheel is going back and forth, and that wheel will not own me. I will not succumb to the wheel. It may be very random, but I'm going to use every turn I can to my advantage, and I'm going to keep moving because I can do this. I showed up for success. I showed up for the success. And you're making it work. You are. Uncomfortable? Yeah. I feel like it's really uncomfortable. What is going on here? I see this energy that's a little bit, there's a half and half thing here. I want to be careful with this. So it's, it's general read. Take it with a grain of salt. Mountains worth of salt. You know how that goes. Readings are for entertainment purposes only. Because there's good and bad here. Somebody, like you did not fail. You did not fail. Somebody thought you would. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm just like, take it with a grain of salt. I feel like other people are like, Taurus is supposed to fail so that we can have either control over Taurus or get Taurus out. One of the two. They either wanted control over you or they wanted you to get out. And they got neither because you made it a success. I keep getting that with the Ten of Swords in the environment. Like, you're bonding in with the right people. You're getting the connections. You're proving that you have what it takes. The proof is in the pudding. It's right there. There are people here who just flat out wanted you to fail. Just did not think you had what it took. And either they wanted you to be under their control or they wanted you just to get out. One of the two. And it did not happen that way. Like I said at the beginning, Taurus does not show up to fail. Are you a fan of that? Of course not. That somebody would be like that. But I'm getting, take it with a grain of salt. It's a general read. Because things are shifting in this whole arena, whatever it is. I think that's again why I'm using the political thing. Things need to change. And these two cards, there's a lot of manipulative energy here. There's a lot of it. And I don't think it's just like we're going to get rid of one person, or, I don't think it's just going to be a one time thing. I feel like what they're saying is like, be aware that this is happening around you, and this will not be a one-time occurrence. There's people believing that they did the right thing that they did not. I get the justice with the Eight of Cups, like people not really connecting to what's actually going on here, or people having the wrong idea about how they should do things. It reminds me of people with toxic traits. And when I say toxic traits, it's in the sense of like somebody who's actually a good person, but they do some messed up stuff and they think that they're supposed to. You know what I mean? It reminds me of like when I was a kid, like people used to hit their kids. And it's very toxic. You don't hit your kids. You don't need to do that to teach your kids. But like, not only would they hit their kids, they would like leave bruises or red marks and stuff. And it's like, clearly that was way over, but they feel like that's the way you got to do it. And, many years later, maybe they figure out that that was not the way to do things. It keeps happening. And I feel like what they're saying is, be careful about getting invested in this. Be careful about playing that game too much. Playing that game too much. Like, what do we mean? Like, be careful about playing that game too much. Like, set up what you need to set up, your Taurus. You're going to set up things to make things as secure as possible. You're going to see the possible pitfalls, and you're going to set up against it, to get yourself through it. But, like, there's some people here who are just a bit messed up. Like, they're just messed up, and it depends on the day. I don't know. Some people are just messed up, and it depends on the day. You don't want to like really depend on people like that, but you don't want to count them out either. This is why we're using the political thing. I totally see it now. Even though you have some toxic people here, they have their uses. It may not be the perfect piece for the machine, but it does keep the machine working, and it gives you more advantages and gives you more possibilities than you would have had. It's kind of like, I can't get the right part, can't seem to find another place to buy one, but this one still works, just not all the time. We gotta use it for what we can get out of it. It kind of feels like that. Be aware, especially, I think that's very much why we're using the political analogy here. Even though we may not like it, there are some pieces here that are very effective and very helpful. Maybe not reliably, but at least it's kind of like they kind of need to be in there. They kind of churn things up. They create more opportunities, more than we would have had. Again, I keep talking to this, but here, success. You got a lot of success here, but I feel like this is that energy. Like, I keep feeling that. Like, I got to keep this energy around. It keeps things churning. It keeps things interesting, obviously, but it keeps people interested, and it keeps that energy coming in, especially if this is a business thing. This, for example, it keeps the product selling. It keeps the word out there about the product. It keeps the product selling. It keeps more business coming in. You got success here with it. The obvious way to handle this, in my opinion, is to want to talk it out. Kind of like, all right, you know what? This isn't working with this person. Maybe we can find middle ground. Makes sense why you would want to do that. Makes total sense. But it's kind of like toxic traits, Some people talk out of both sides of their mouths without realizing they're doing it, ironically, but they do. Some people don't pay attention to their own words. That's another thing. So that's why it's like they're talking out of both sides and they're not even paying attention to what they're saying. Maybe they don't even know what they're about to do, but they end up doing it anyway. I don't know how to explain it. Some people are just not on board with their own movement through life. It's probably foreign thought, but like Taurus is like, they make sense. That's just how I relate to Taurus. They just make sense. You know what they're going to do, why they're going to do it. And if you didn't know, if you ask them and they like you, they'll probably tell you why they did what they did. But this energy is just kind of like, it's all over the place. It's not really thought out. It just keeps moving. And you could have a really good conversation, but it's not going to stabilize anything. You make great points and explain to somebody why this, why that, and they could flat out agree with you, but then 2 weeks pass and that it's like that conversation never happened. Be aware of that. That can be frustrating. Another option is to instead of communicating with that energy directly and trying to get it to act correctly, if you will, if I dare, watch how it moves, watch what triggers it, watch like what happens, why does it go this way, what it's kind of like watching the deer outside. Like if all of a sudden they start running, what made them run? If they're coming over there, why are they going all of a sudden going over there? You know what I mean? If they're showing up at a different time of day, why are they starting to show up at a different time of day? It's kind of like watching the patterns and like what's triggering this behavior with this person, what's triggering that to happen. It may be more empowering for you instead of trying to like make sense with it. I mean, do what you think is right. It's a general read. Take it with a mountain's worth of salt. You know how that goes. But it's kind of like instead of going in there and trying to make sense and getting them to agree and do it the way they should, which seems to fail, take it with a grain of salt. You can try it. I mean, try it a couple times. See where it goes. The other idea is to kind of like just watch the behavior, watch what triggers the behavior, and then use that to your advantage and just set up a pattern. So like, okay, oh, that happened. All right, got to do this today. Oh, that happened. Got to do this today. It's kind of like the deer. Oh, when those people come and they walk their dog, the deer don't come anywhere near. That's what's going on. That dog is here, which I like the dog, but when the dog's here, the deer are like, oh, I don't think so. Understandable, like stuff like that. It does feel like this is aggravating to you. The other side, if this is a person, they're going to be just as aggravated with you as you are with them. Which is what it is. I don't know what to say about that. Things are going to continue to move forward, and you're still going to get a lot out of this. It'll keep going well, but this, I think I started with this. It goes really well. You get a lot out of it, but it gets very frustrating. It will get very, very frustrating on occasion. And it's kind of like, every now and then it's kind of like, well, I didn't see that. I didn't realize that was a trigger. And, all right, I guess I learned a new one. It's going to be like that every once in a while. But you got success around you. You'll still make it work. You won't be happy that whatever happened, but it'll keep giving you success. What does this say? You have what it makes to make it work. It says open up your spiritual gifts, but basically that's why this is working, because you're making it work. It keeps going forward, but it doesn't make sense sometimes. That's these two, the moon and the three of wands. Keeps going forward, keeps getting you that success, but it's like, I don't understand why that had to happen. I don't understand what triggered them this time. Every now and then. I don't think it's constantly a problem. I think it's like just popping up here and there every now and then, and it becomes aggravating. These two cards, the Five of Cups and the Four of Cups, are both cards where there's a lot of good going on here, but the situation may really start getting under your skin, kind of like, it may feel like, you know, the way this is going, sooner or later I'm going to have some type of fallout that's not going to be okay. Sooner or later I might just fail, and I don't like that. They're saying have no fear. You're going to be successful in this. It's just the aggravation. If at some point down the road you decide that the aggravation isn't worth it, understandably, but this level of success will leave with it, is what I'm also getting. Take it with a grain of salt, but that's what I'm getting. Like, this level of success will leave with the aggravation. You may be successful somewhere else, but not at the level you're used to. So if you're like, whatever this is, we'll make it real dramatic. With this going on, with all the aggravation, it's like you're making 10,000 a week. You go somewhere else, it's like, all right, I'm a lot happier, but I'm making 1,000 a week. Much different. Like, that's the difference I'm seeing. The other energy I understand is very unhappy. They never seem to like you. It doesn't mean that they're out to get you, so I don't want to start that. But they might be more avoiding. It might be more of an avoiding, not out to get you. I don't feel that. I feel like more avoiding. Because I feel like you stop them from doing things that they want, even though you create a lot of success. Things don't work out the way they want to. And I feel like that's why once in a while you have these left turns. Like, why did that happen? Because they knew they weren't in control and they're trying to snatch it back. So they're trying to screw things up just, to make things difficult for you so they can take some power, and it just fails because Taurus shows up to win. Taurus shows up to succeed. So just because something went really wrong doesn't mean you're going to let it destroy the situation on you. And I keep getting like, every now and then they're just going to avoid you and just not want anything to do. They're going to try to push you out of things. They're going to try to keep people from inviting you in on things. It's not going to work because you have a lot of success. People are going to want you there. You may hear about that or notice that this person is trying to get you out of the situation. They don't seem to be successful. It might be always a point of contention. It's going to be there. I don't have to say it about it. It's the weird thing about this reading. This whole reading, I feel like it's been like, I gave that analogy about that group. The two people in that group, they did not like each other from what I understand. And they had crazy success when they were together. When they went their separate ways after like 2 to 3 albums, I don't know how many albums they did. Not many, like three-ish. I don't know, maybe 4. I don't know. But once they went their separate ways, they never hit that level of success again. So all right, I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email. jamesforastral@gmail.com. James from before astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.